one halacha last time. We had a lot of discussion because I think we went back a lot.
Right.
So we did the first halacha in Perek Sheni, so I think we should read it again to rev into it, and then the goal today should be to get to the shiur for the chole nefesh, right? Okay, so chole haguf, tomin hamar matov v'matov mar. This is in Hilchos Deios 2:1. Those who are sick in body taste the bitter as sweet, and the sweet as bitter. V'yish, were you here physically last time? No, okay. V'yish min hacholim mishim misave v'ta'ev l'ma'achalos she'enan ru'in la'achila. And then there are those who are people who are sick who desire and crave foods that are not fit for human consumption. We're on the beginning of the second parak. V'sone and they hate good foods like bread and meat. My internet connection is unstable. We'll see how that plays out. Okay, yeah. When I signed in, also this, not this morning was fine, but a little while ago I was having trouble. All according to the severity of the illness. So to people whose souls are sick, they crave and love bad Deios, and they hate the good path, and they are lazy in following it. And it is very heavy upon them according to their illness. That's what Yeshayahu said about these people. That's what Yeshayahu said about these people. Woe unto those who say to the bad good and to the good bad. They make darkness light and light darkness, and they make bitter sweet and bitter and sweet bitter. And regarding them, it says those who abandon the the upright ways to walk in ways of darkness. Okay, we also started reading this one. I guess we did the first. I was mistaken. We did the first halacha in the printed editions, but not in the. We did two halachos in the Rambam. What is the cure or the correction, I should say, for those who are sick in their soul? They should go to the wise, who are the healers of the souls. And they will heal their souls with the Deios that they teach them until they return them to the good path. Those who recognize the bad Deios that they have and do not go to the Chachamim to heal them, Alehem Amar Shlomo Umutzer Evilim Bazu. Regarding them, Shlomo said that Mishlei fools despise discipline. Okay, so should we reconstruct everything we had? What was the So first thing was that in the first parak, he didn't use the term sicknesses of the soul. He just talked about the derech ra, or the derech lo tova. Okay, but I think we ultimately concluded that there he was just talking in terms of the derech, not in terms of the people, because he was talking in the framework of the mitzvah. And in the framework of the mitzvah, chole nefesh is not a thing. Right? It's either you are being nohig in the bad Deios or in the good Deios. There's no like someone who has this sickness. It might be hard for him to fulfill the mitzvah, but that's not a category within the mitzvah itself. You know, in the first parak, didn't we say something like first parak was just basically like looking at it almost like from a biological standpoint, like as an organism, human beings have these different Deios and they're drawn to different things and blah, blah, blah. But then the second parak is really more of like a diagnostic or prognostic type approach.
Well, the first one definitely is prognostic in the sense of like, what's the good path, what's not. Like,
but not wait, am I misusing the word prog?
Maybe I am.
Isn't prognosis? Isn't that when you the doctor tells you what to do to cure yourself? Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So what did you mean? Because you were meaning something.
Yeah. No, I just meant that like it's not.
All your bad ideas have good intentions.
I mean, it's not fully. It's not just like looking at it as a biological organism, because it's saying like what the good path is.
Right.
Stuff like that. Like it's not saying.
Right. That's true. I guess it's looking at the mitzvah in terms of it's looking at the person in terms of fulfilling the mitzvah. Right? Is that a better way to say it?
Yeah. Right. Like, yeah. It's like right. Yeah.
I don't know if that's the most precise way to say it. I guess that's accurate, though, is what I'm asking. And then the second parak is really more dealing with the struggles to keep the mitzvah and what you do with that. And it's not even necessarily in terms of the mitzvah.
Which is interesting, like why even bring it in at all?
Yeah, like you don't, for example, have a parak in Hilchos shover sukkah v'lulav about people who have difficulty like
Right.
dealing with the sukkah. You know, like obviously, you know, that's kind of like a what do you call? I'm saying that tongue in cheek, but like, you know,
Like getting up for nothing.
right? Yeah, right. I mean, I guess the closest thing you do have is in Hilchos of Avodah Zarah. Was that a veiled reference?
No.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, yeah, unintentionally offended people.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, you know, almost revealing positive. What do you call it? Yeah, Avodah Zarah, the attraction to Avodah Zarah is in the realm of the mitzvah itself. Is al lilium, and there he does talk about like the psychological orientation towards Avodah Zarah. You know, and here you could see why he was talking about it, because that is the very like arena in which the mitzvah plays out, of like struggling with the Deios, you know. And it's a different topic, it's a different parak, because it is conceptually it's a different sort of thing, kind of like in the same way as like, I mean, it's not the best analogy, but Hilchos Tshuva, the first parak he deals with the mitzvah itself, which is just vidui, and Tshuva is prerequisite. But then the second parak he deals with how do you do Tshuva, and like what are the obstacles with that, you know. Like if he, you know, theoretically he could have omitted how to do Tshuva from Hilchos Tshuva, because the mitzvah is only vidui, and vidui just requires Tshuva. But like, it, you know, in order to implement the mitzvah, then this is something that you have to do. It's like as a, you know, it's like in the very realm of the mitzvah itself.
Is this is that to say that everyone is going to have some level of method?
So I guess that depends on how broadly we define it. Because when I first read this last time, then I was saying that being on an extreme day is not the same as a chulia nefesh, because chulia nefesh is, he says, you crave and love the bad Deios, and we have our whole theory there about how you want the Deya, because once you embody the Deya, then it allows you to kind of indulge in the associated actions. So you could have a person who finds himself like on an extreme, but doesn't love the bad Deya, you know. But then did we move away from that?
Well, we lead into a discussion about
That's right.
what the definition of Deya is.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. That's why I felt like we didn't resolve the discussion, because we didn't resolve it. Yeah, because initially I wanted to make the distinction between three levels: the people who are in a bad Deya but don't love it, the people who love it and don't and do something about it, and then people who love it and don't do anything about it. And like, were you the one with the grid, or was Zach the one with the grid?
I was on.
You were the one with the grid, right? So that was another way of dealing with it, is recognizing it or not, and then like
Dealing with it or not.
say again? Dealing with it or not, yeah. What?
I'm sorry, the group seems to me more.
It makes more sense to you, or more confusing? Oh, okay.
I thought this was more accurate though.
Yeah. But I guess the fundamental question though is having a bad day the same as being sick in the soul? That's going to be a fundamental question here. So I want to say it's not, and I think that if you view Parak Aleph and Sheni as like being complementary terminology, then that would also lead you to say that those are two different things. But if you view it as just two frameworks of looking at the same thing, then there's more room for saying that it is the same. And let's just go with the example that I gave before, because let's say you are raised in a home with a certain value, or you have a certain like physiological disposition towards a certain Deya, you know. That doesn't mean you love it and crave it. That just means you have it. And like, let's say you recognize you have a bad Deya and you don't want it, and you're in the process of trying to like practice the opposite Deya, you know. Like, would you say that you love it, or would you say the fact that you're working on it means that you don't love it, you know?
And love it just means like you think it's a good thing to have.
That's what I'm not sure about what the love is, you know? Does love just mean attachment to it, or does love mean that like you are viewing it as a good? The Pasuk in Yeshayahu makes it sound like you actually are buying into, you're blended with the Deya, you know, like you actually are buying into the Deya's worldview that like, you know, stinginess is good or aggression is good.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying you have to read Yeshayahu that way. You can say that he means in the way that they live, you know, like let's say like our lazy guy from the morning, the lazy guy loves impoverishing himself. Now if you ask him, he's not gonna say I love impoverishing myself, but you look at his actions are all geared towards poverty. So he does functionally love making himself poor, So I'm not sure how we're treating the word love here. Which I guess you could ask the same question on the other side of with good Deios or with the middle path. Like, let's say you have a person who conducts himself behavior-wise in terms of the middle path, right? But let's say his emotions aren't there yet.
Mhm.
Would you say that he's fulfilling the mitzvah of the halachos b'drachav or not? I would say not.
No.
Yeah, because it sounds like the Rambam says at the end of the first parak, ad sheyikba hadea benafsho, that's really the goal. And having the dea, having the middle dea, the derech Hashem is the correct, is what the mitzvah is. Obviously, this guy's on a good is in a good trajectory, but like.
Didn't we say that the mitzvah is to retain his ma'aseh?
We did say that.
Right.
Right, we did say that, but then we I think we weren't factoring in the last thing that I said. V'yikbu hadeos benafsho. Yeah.
Yeah, your definition of it.
Oh man, don't make me remember that. At least that's the diet. It's a diet to everything from yesterday. So we're starting. Right, in the end of Zion 1.
I think right. Refined system.
Did he? Say again?
I think like someone like reminded Rafan of like a spark
Yeah.
he had like 10 years ago. He's
Yeah.
Like, stop cheating.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like how Rebbe responds. The cheating thing is weird to me because
I feel like I've heard that.
That would imply that like the svara you had before was the answer, and like you just don't want to be reminded of it, unless you meant cheating in the process that like you're shortcutting it somehow. Yeah. But like what you just said, Chaim, is like what the way that Rebbe reacts whenever someone like brings up an old svara. He said it's just like well, it would make sense that they're the same. Yeah. But let's just look at Zion 1 again. So that's really, so how does a person accustom himself in these Deios until they are established in him? The question is that the end or is that the means? Meaning, is the mitzvah to establish the Deios in yourself, or is the mitzvah to act in accordance with the Deios, and then the most sure way of doing it is to establish the Deios in yourself?
Well, he said the height is heading. Like saying 3. The height, like the end of the height of the smoke and then it would be out of the.
Wait, hey 3?
Yeah.
Right, l'lechas, you're saying.
And then the end of it.
Oh, the end. Oh, you mean
In the last line.
Oh, v'chayev adam lahanhig atzmo behen ulehidamus k'vi kocho, to the ways of Hashem. Hidamus k'vi kocho, right? I mean, you could argue that also that the
Sounds more like the actual mention about.
lahanhig atzmo sounds like the Ma'aseh you're saying, right? Yeah.
And to the case that Yargil and Antonomadea too. Meaning like, oh, I hear you saying about that.
No, that is that more.
Right.
Yargil. Meaning, right, but right, I guess reading it in light of K 3, you could read Zion 1 as like I'd say Yikubo is the fear of it.
Yeah.
But like really what you're doing is like knowing yourself.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Yeah.
Like
I don't know that answer that
And because like look at the end of Zion 1. The Yachzor and Tamid ad yu masihim kalim alav lo yiheh behem toreach v'yikabu hadeos benafsho. Meaning, and that's kind of like the model that I said earlier, that deotic fluidity is the is the goal here. It's like having your when I was explaining why it's called a chacham, because if your emotions are not pulling you in either way or the other, so that whatever the situation calls for, then you can do it without opposition. So like you're Eliyahu Hanavi and like God tells you to go in front of all the priests of Baal, you could just do it and not have to like summon up the courage, like your courage is there, like when you need it. So like that might be why, so in other words, what am I saying then? Which side am I arguing for?
I don't know. Well, you're trying to hear the suicide.
Oh, the thing I went off of this time is making the actions easy to you. So which side is that? But that was where I was coming from, though.
Well, that would sound like you're saying that that
Yeah.
Unless you're saying,
not even the muscle.
Uh-oh, there's another possibility.
uh,
The other possibility is that the middle dea is of a different nature than the extreme Deios. I know we're calling it a middle dea, but like if I'm thinking back to his original description of like it's equidistant from the other two and is not close to either one, that like maybe the middle dea is this fluidity point, but that's not the same thing as have. In other words, like this. Don't think of it as extreme dea, middle dea are just three flavors of ice cream. You know, where each one is, you know, I don't know, chocolate, vanilla, strawberry. I don't know which one you want to say, you know, but like really it's like chocolate and vanilla and then like flavorless would be like the middle dea where you're not inclined to either one. Meaning the new one is that the middle dea, even though we call it a dea and we give names to it, is really just the absence of being pulled by the other deos.
I thought that was what we were saying in the beginning.
That is what we were saying from the beginning, but now what I'm wondering is now that we're examining the mitzvah though, until these deos are established in your soul. So what does that mean? Like that talks about it as though it's a positive dea.
Oh, I see.
You know, yeah.
You could say it's the like in terms of like talking about a character trait, you could say the person has a character trait of stinginess.
Mhm.
The person has a character trait of like spendiness.
Yeah.
But
Gymnasts are very spendy.
yeah. Yeah. But it's not it's not a person has a character trait of medium spending. It's a person is neither profligate with their money nor like stingy.
Yeah, right. Like frugality, we call it frugality, but frugality just means that you're able to do whatever you need to do.
When you're pointing out that that's not
yeah, yeah, right. Right. It's not. It's not a dea.
Well, I think it is a dea.
Well, we don't know what deos are selling, but it's not like the extreme deos, is what we're saying right now. Yeah.
Well, it's a dea, but it's not a dea that pulls you strongly towards a certain behavior. Because it's a dea that
that's true.
It's a dea that enables freedom of behavior.
Right. Yeah.
That's what we were talking about this morning about the downward escalator. That there's nothing pulling you to the middle. The middle is the absence of pull.
Right.
So the pull is only away from. It's only for
right.
all the other things.
Right.
It's not.
Yeah, you're not being pulled towards the middle.
Yeah.
If only. Yeah. Right. Sorry, what were you gonna say? If you remember.
No.
Okay. So where are we? So what's the mitzvah? What's the mitzvah and what are deos? Back to that. Oh, you know, should we do what we set out to do and read the second parak and then get, or not the whole thing, but like read this process of kind of holy and others. I think I'll give us more data.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we're at phase 1, right? Ketzad hi ruchuasam. Now that's also interesting, right? Because he in Aleph 2 he said umahi takanatz chole hanafashos. And then he says that you go there to the chachamim and they will heal them according to the deos that they teach you. And then in Beis 1, Ketzad hi ruchuasam, plain shot is this is the refuah that they will help you with, right? Meaning this is the refuah they will implement.
Meaning they, meaning
the chachamim. Yeah, right? Just if you look at the words, right? V'yirapa'u cholim b'deos shemalamdim osam. And now how do they do that? Are they rope them? This is how. Right? Is that a good reading? Yeah, in fact, if you look at it, Mishu Balchima Omrim Lo. Who are the Omrim? That's Chachamim.
Yeah.
Right? The people so someone who is a wrathful person, they say to him, the Chachamim say to him, Lahan Higashmo, to conduct himself, She'im Huka V'kulal Lo Yargish Klal. That if someone hits him or curses him, he does not feel it at all. V'yelech B'derech Zo Zman Meruba, and he should go on this path for a very long time, until the wrath is uprooted from his heart. Until he blows up and kills the guy and goes to prison. Yeah. It's funny just how like, what's the rule of the time? They just tell you, don't feel, you know, like, I feel like that's not the That's not what they're doing. Like, yeah, right, yeah. I mean, that I assume inner haircash, yeah, but yeah, right. It's just suppress your feelings.
It seems like he's not concerned about like repressing anything.
Yeah. Or I mean, you're right. Meaning, it's not even necessarily that he's denying the phenomenon, but that this is the course that you just got to go. Like, just
Why don't you keep the one?
I know. It's
Not
like,
Not a normal.
I know. Yeah. All right, let's go on. Vim haya gvalev. Continuing with your theme of choosing the one that is, but again, I mean,
It makes sense.
Well, this one and the other one makes sense in the sense that he's showing you how to heal them. It would really not make sense if you were on the opposite, if you were on the non-feeling side and he was telling you to be angry.
Right.
Yeah. Vimhaya gavalev, if he were haughty of heart, yanhik atma bizayon harbe, he should conduct himself with excessive degradation. V'yeshiv lamatim minakol, he should sit beneath everyone. V'yobash bloye schavos. Don't know exactly what it is. I assume it's somehow like worn out garments. Let's see, begadim yishanim shekvar balu. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Smart tutim. Is that a modern Hebrew word? Smart tut. Sounds modern, right?
Yeah.
Or Greek. Not so much Greek.
No.
I don't know any Greek.
And hedritoga would be Greek. Smart tutim. Yeah, smart tut is a cloth rag or mop. So he should wear rags. That disparage their or whatever degrade their wearers. And other things like that. Until the haughtiness of heart is uprooted from him. And then he returns to the middle path, shehi derech hatova, which is the good path. And once you get there, follow the rest of your life. Okay, yeah, obviously.
Great.
Why do you need to say that?
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Huh.
And on this line, literally, he should do for all the other Deios. If he is on one extreme, he should distance himself to the other extreme. And conduct himself in it for a long time until he returns to the good path, which is the middle midah in each and every Dea.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So I have an answer for why he said
Okay.
but it doesn't work with the one with Govalev.
Yeah.
Which is that you could think like he's trying to just hammer home, like you don't go all the way to the opposite extreme, which dang it, it's
I
not
don't know what I
No, and he already said that, right?
Yeah.
I have a understanding of why I chose those two examples.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So these two examples were, I mean, this is like a partial answer.
Okay.
The two examples that I chose were ones where there is a specific correct direction to go.
That's good.
Meaning, he said, you're angry, and so you should get less angry. You're haughty, so you get less haughty. Which is always going to be true. It's not like, you're not going to have someone, like, let's say it was talking about being stingy, and it's like, you're stingy, like, be more generous. And because then if a person is let's say spends too much or gives away too much, then that's not going to be a relevant example. It's still a little weird.
No, but it's pedagogically, it's the most pure cases.
Yeah.
Pedagogically, in terms of teaching.
I would that, except when you talk about it over, I think that's I know
That's true.
Yeah.
So,
Which is going to contradict his
an example
Yeah.
that, like, not on the side, and you want it in the middle, when you're on in one side, you like the other middle.
Here's
Like, you put the same kind of thing from Indians.
Right.
Like, a person to, like, who is injured, then you should be in the camera control, you lose, like, the injury from.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm confused on a more fundamental level. Maybe this might be easier to maybe someone can answer me this. Maybe I'm just like blanking on something. Go back to Zion Aleph again. The Ketzad Yargil Adam Atma B'Deos Elu Aji Kavugo. Now, what are these Deos Elu? They are the Deos of Hashem, which he said specifically are Tzadik, Yashar, Tamim, Gibor, Chazak, but which he later clarified means the Derech Hashem is the middle path, right?
Yeah.
How do you establish these middle path Deos in your soul? Yasev, Yishnev, Yishalish. You should do, repeat, and triplicate Bamasim She'os El Pia Deos HaMtayos. The actions which are done in accordance with the middle Deos. The Yachav Tamid, and go over them constantly. Ad you masem kalim alav, until the actions are light upon you, below you them torech, and you don't have any toil in them. And the deos are established in your soul. What is bothering you? Right. So is this an answer to our question then, in terms of is there a difference between having an extreme dea and having a sickness of the deos?
I think
so often, right? Meaning, if you have an extreme dea, then you do Zion Aleph. But if you have, if you're a sickness of the soul, then you go to the Chachamim, and then they tell you to go to do actions not in the middle, but the opposite path until you return to the middle.
Yeah. Meaning, if it's part of your, like, if it's just a thing you do, then you can just push yourself to just do the middle until that becomes your norm.
Yeah.
But if you have a Cholei Nefesh, then you have where like it's become like part of like your psychological value system, then you need to actively like uproot it, which you're going to need to go to the opposite extreme.
Right. Now, one question so I think that clarifies the question that we started off with. But now the question is why you need to go to the Chachamim to do this. Why can't you do this yourself? And what exactly are the Chachamim doing other than just telling you? Like, are you going to be charged a full hour of therapy for just like, you're out, you're really angry, just don't feel. Okay, next, or is the wrong just like shorthanding it and like he's telling you,
Right. I'm assuming they're going to be a little more nuanced than that, like telling you exactly.
Don't feel detailed.
Yeah.
Right. Don't feel this.
Right. Like, no, like being more like you don't want to necessarily go too far to the other extreme.
But you want to?
Well, you want to go to the other extreme, but in proportion to how far you are.
Okay, meaning you're saying that they're needed not for the initial target remedial derech, but for the moderating you to get back to the middle afterwards.
Like,
meaning, like, let's say like the guy who goes who is haughty and he puts on all these like degrading clothing.
Yeah.
Right. So you're saying you don't need the Chachamim for that, but what you do need the Chachamim for.
Well, no, you don't want to go overboard with that.
No, I'm saying you do want to go overboard with that.
Well, you want to go really far to the other extreme, but
right.
There still would be something that's too far.
That's not the way he sounds like. Adakatse ha'afer, right? Isn't he?
Yeah, sounds like it's like all like the opposite extreme.
Lo yargis klal. Tell me what's more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no more than that. Yeah. Yeah, right. So I mean, so just going with the implication of what you're saying, let's see if it still works out. So you really don't need the Chachamim to do that.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be like you do that and then one day like you just are cured and you snap to the middle. But there's going to be, you're saying you have to like walk it back.
Yeah. Like
right.
there's steps along the way.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like it seems like maybe what they would do is guide you through this in a more nuanced way. Like, I mean, like a person could maybe do this himself. He's talking about what like the process is. But if let's say a person is like really angry, like they don't know what to do. Like, I don't think there's another way to say like don't just don't get angry.
That's what it sounds like he's saying.
Yeah,
right.
I think they're gonna like, coach them how to do that. Like when let's say when someone says something that makes you mad, like count to 10 before responding. Things
right.
Like,
so I'm gonna bring a raya from what I know best in life, which is Mishlei 1:7. The fact that he says the people who don't go to the Chachamim hate Musar implies that the people who do go to the Chachamim are going to be getting Musar or be involved in Musar. And I know what Mishlei Musar is like, so presumably that would be the type of thing that the Chachamim would do. Meaning, and Mishlei doesn't just say like if you have an anger problem, it doesn't just say like stop being angry and don't feel. What was that? Meaning it's going to have to be rooted in action. meaning Rambam Bekius is wrong about this, about at least for curing bad Deios. Meaning it's not just a matter of getting the ideas clear and then you automatically change. It is, the fundamental thing is you have to be acting in accordance with the opposite Deya of the one that you have. However, the Chachamim will help you by giving you Mishlaic ideas, techniques, psychoanalysis, IFS, cognitive behavior. There, like, meaning there's a whole, atomic habits, wolves. there's a whole, array of tools that will be available to the Chachamim in each generation, who will help you to do what is necessary to practice those actions. But ultimately, I think the Rambam is fundamentally a behaviorist model in the sense that the actions are what actually establish the Deios.
Right.
You might need stuff to get you to do the actions, but you cannot become generous unless you're giving money away.
Right.
There's no think system in that sense, like you just, you have to actually be doing the actions. If you're constantly like, let's say you have cowardice, as like one of those examples. If you're cowardly and like you never actually put yourself into a situation where you need to be like overly brave, you're just not gonna get rid of the cowardice. Like a shy person is never going to break out of that unless they actually like are no-hig, not shy, and somebody might need to coach them to get there, but yeah.
Yeah, okay, an example.
Yeah.
Like, I used to be very like, afraid of like any sort of like public speaking where I wasn't like talking in front of people who like I like totally totally felt comfortable with. Then I took like a public speaking course,
Yeah.
and one of the things I had to do was just like give speeches about and like it was very uncomfortable. But then, what I started doing was I would volunteer to go first,
right,
which was like.
That's what I always instructed my public speaking students to do. Like the ones who are the most scared. Like it's just If you have a frog to eat.
First thing in the morning. Yeah. So I would like be like I'll go first and like and then like and that like helped me like get like much
right. Yeah. I used to have a not a problem with giving tzedakah, but I had a problem with interacting with the iyun, and so I forced myself to take that job in yeshiva to like interact, to be the one who had to interact with them and who had to like face the responsibility of doing it, and like that helped me to get over that. Yeah. Okay, so I feel like we have some semblance of order and clarity here that we didn't necessarily have last time. Are there questions on the table? I mean, I know we're not resurrecting the question yet of like why it's called Deios.
Yeah.
I just want to leave that off for now. But like, in terms of the questions that we raised earlier today,
I think we still aren't clear on what being a bad day is.
Yes, that's true.
We're not clear what the two categories.
So this is another possibility I had. Okay, that what maybe the reason why you need the chachamim is because the person loves the bad deya, and you need someone to be reminding them through chachami type ways of their distorted perception. Why? Because the question is like, why do you need the chachamim? Why don't you just do this on your own? Well, like, why is the person going to do it on their own if they think that the bad deya is good and the good deya is bad? Like, it's just not gonna work, But if you put yourself under the guidance of a chacham who's going to be not only showing you these behavioral and like tactical methods, but like helping you to, this is what Shlomo was doing, right? It's like, you think that this is good, but it really is not good. And even you don't think it's good. It's just you trigger something thinking that it's good, they
are strongly attached to it in some way.
Right.
And so they need the objective like third party.
Right. And not only, whoa. Okay, hold on. Here's the question. Are the chachamim here like generic chachamim, or are they chacham as defined in Perek Aleph?
Oh.
Because in Perek Aleph of Hilchos Deios, he said a chacham is someone with the middle deya.
I thought you meant generic chachamim.
Well, that's what I thought until this moment, but like.
But
I mean, that's what it sounds like.
It is usually where he's, and especially because this is clearly establishing a
Hilchos
Deios terminology,
Yeah,
it's funny, he doesn't.
That sounds more like regular chachamim.
Yeah. Also,
right.
if it was psychologist,
Yeah.
then we really call them chachamim because he would say, it's a ropei hanafashos.
Right. I mean, the fact that you use the term Rofi and Nefashos does seem to mean that
Where's the
it's specific. It's not just.
Wait, yeah, wouldn't that be the opposite?
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Meaning.
the fact that he calls it chachamim, that's
No, the fact that he specifies Shehem Rofi and Nefashos means it's a specific kind of chacham.
yeah. Oh yeah, I'm thinking it's not psychologist.
well,
Oh no, I'm thinking it is psychologist.
yeah,
No.
Yeah.
It could be right. The psychologist, like the only well, wait,
How
why do you have to be a
psychologist?
like why do you
I'm
have
saying
to-
the chacham of psychology.
so why do you have to be a
Why is it
Deios chacham? Like,
Oh no. This is the opposite of the Deios chacham. I'm saying like the
you're
one
not-
possibility is that you need. Well, until now I thought it was a psychologist type chacham,
Yeah.
or Mishleitz, whatever. But then I raised the question: does he mean a Hilchos Deios type
Right.
chacham? And now I'm saying the fact that he calls him Rofei Nefashos, just because you have middle Deios does not mean that you are a Rofei Nefesh, and you're gonna be able to have all this knowledge.
Well, I'm saying if it's a specific type of chacham who can also be a ropei nefesh,
Yeah.
then then I think it's logical makes sense.
Yeah.
Like the chachamim that are also ropei nefashos.
They have to be both.
Oh, that they have to have their Deios in order also.
I thought you meant
Yeah.
on other things.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I'm thinking. Also, yeah.
But I'm saying
I don't know if you need to be.
if it's just like random psychologists who let's say has anger issues or something, but like I'm saying it was like a person who has studied psychology, like then it wouldn't. I don't know if it makes sense to call him that person chacham.
I don't. I'm not.
think it would say different things. I
Like,
thought
yeah.
you know what I'm saying that when you use that often, people who are expert in that area.
No,
Yeah.
Why do you have to use that word? Like he could just say the ropei nefashos.
Yeah,
That's exactly what it means.
I mean, why does he have to introduce it as chacham?
Yeah, he specifically used
Right.
the word chacham
Right.
that he used in paragology.
That's true. That's true.
Wait, but are you saying in the sense that they're in the middle path?
Yeah,
And they are also psychologists.
Not general.
Yeah, you're saying chacham means middle path and Rofi Nefashos means psychologist.
yeah.
Right.
Why?
Yeah, why do you need that?
That's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah. You could be a good psychologist without, if you have a bad dea,
Well, I think I guess like what we were saying before about how the chacham is the first thing you're going to is serving as it's almost like an objective anchor for yourself.
Right.
But if you can't look to the person as your anchor, then it's not going to work. Like the person, let's say, has had some sort of loves some sort of a bad day, and they think that this is an issue, which is why they're going to the chacham who they're working nefesh. If the way they're going to try to overcome this midah is by attaching to the chacham's advice as the answer of what is objectively good. But if the person that they're going to has their own issues, then this guy isn't going to be able to relate to them in the same sort of way.
I think that entirely depends on whether those issues interfere with this guy's issues. I mean, so many therapists have their own therapists and are in therapy. All the Nevi'im had their own midos issues, that they struggle with. I don't think the standard of the person has to be perfect. It doesn't. The person, we can both agree the person doesn't have to be perfect in midos.
Yeah.
And we could both agree that there is a phenomenon that you say if you're going to a marriage counselor and the marriage counselor is having marital issues, then obviously that's going to affect the way that you relate to her. But
Well,
yeah.
I've done at least in IFS, they talk about a lot about how if your Deios get in the way of when you're talking to your
if the therapist Deios get in the way of the clients, yeah, right.
Then it's not just if you have the same problem as the
Right.
as the client. It's when you're talking to the client, if
Yeah.
you're not talking, if you're talking from your Deios,
Right.
then you're on-
Yeah, that part I agree with. Yeah, that part I would agree with.
So-
Well, wouldn't it just make that what's that for the never? You need to take the never.
Yeah.
Well, you can still have knowledge in the area. It's just
But you're not
I'm not
Rofei.
religious. when you go to answer the
I guess you
question,
could still.
the whole line
It wouldn't be a good one. I
no,
guess.
I'm just saying the whole line that if you use that and have like like all the middle age because you can't look into her color, then they can't do that if not if that's like you're saying like you just can't that's like that.
You can still have knowledge. You can still help people with their Deios. It's just
Not
that you're not. You can be even better if you like. You can still like have a practice where you're broken up. It's just like you're not gonna.
I think we're overcomplicating this. I think that the am I saying something?
You were saying.
We're just saying that those things definitely is like
So I was just trying to say that that one thing is clear, which is that whatever type of chachma we're talking about, whether it is chachma of like psychology, chachma of like mishle, chachma of Hilchos Deios, like, yeah, it can't interfere with like on like a rhetorical level with their ability to learn from you. Like if it's going to invalidate the way that they view you, or if it's going to validate your practice as more than just rhetorically, then yeah, then you shouldn't do that. Like I think that's all we need to say. I don't think.
Yeah, that's
we need
all.
to go. Okay, yeah. Meaning, I don't think we need to be medactic on the if he's a chacham and not a rovi nefesh, or rovi nefesh and not a chacham.
I'm saying the fact that he's a chacham is just keying you into the fact that he could have his own Deios problems that would affect his practice.
Right, but that not all Deios problems, will affect your practice, though.
Oh, I guess so, but like, it's just how would you make a prescription of like go to a rofe nefesh that who has Deios problems that don't interfere with yours? How do I know what's what? Like,
That's a good question.
the guy who does
But I will tell you that, like, if you compare this to, I know you don't have Rambams there, but if you look at, you've seen what type of Rav you're supposed to learn from. There aren't any of these. No, there are, but they're you're not going to find them so easily for all of Israel. Yeah, the internet is a little weird. Every time I've gone to today, it's been slow.
Yeah. I think the Wi-Fi dropped like 3 times during the first section.
Wow. Oh, thank you. Then Talmud Torah. Yeah, it's on page 57. 57.
Yeah.
Bottom right, new paragraph. V'chein harav she'ino holech b'derech tova. So Rav is not going the derech tova, which seems to be the derech tova of Hilchos Deios, right? Alpha pi chacham gadol hu, even though he's a great chacham.
Right.
So you see he's doing it in 2 different ways there.
but he's
100%.
not in Hilchos Deios.
I know. I'm not saying that as a counter group.
Yeah.
And everyone needs him. So you shouldn't learn from him until you return to the good. Because the lips of a Kohen guard knowledge, and Torah they should seek from his mouth, for he is a malach of Hashem Tzvakos. Now here's the line. Right? If he's similar to a malach Hashem, then you should seek Torah from his mouth, and not that you shouldn't, But like there, he's setting up criteria for who you should learn from.
Yeah.
Here, he's not.
I don't know why.
He's not saying.
Implicitly he is.
No, but he's not. He's explicitly not, though.
I mean,
Because he doesn't say, "In this, then learn from him," and if not, then don't.
He's not doing it explicitly where the therapy is.
Right. I mean, he's not even laying out criteria for who you should seek it from and who you shouldn't.
Oh, I think you could also get good advice from not from. It's just like.
I still think it's overcomplicating it.
I don't think
Well,
that's
I
think you're a psychologist.
thing.
Right.
You think like, oh, you can get in like from the knock and not like, yeah, I don't know, I can get my toothpick, I am not inventing, and whatever.
Right.
It's
Right.
not a thing, and not inventing.
Right, so the ideal rope interface is one who
If I call
Yeah,
it,
but no one's
has like it,
no one's arguing that that's the ideal. It's just a question of what's wrong I'm saying. I think it's just then go to the psychologist, you know?
Oh, okay. It's funny that he used the word fuck.
I don't think it's funny. I think it's very serious. No. But
like he could have very easily just left that word out, and it would have made exactly the same amount of sense.
right, that's a valid question.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it's. I don't know how.
Yeah, that's the question I was asking. I was trying to bring like a small write up for what you were saying.
It's a big problem for humans.
Wait, what does that have to anything to do with anything?
He's saying he might just add a word.
Oh, well, that's insane. Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. No, we're not. You can just get rid of all commentaries on the Rambam that way. Like, you know, that's like thing in science. Like maybe some stuff just happens. Like in other words, like it's a legitimate question. Like why does he say it? You know. Now saying that it is just he's just referring to them as chachamim because like Ropei Nefashos are chachamim. You know, that's fine. Like in other words, it might not be a new idea. You know, it might be for some other reason, like, you know.
Yeah, but he had spent a lot of time and energy like revising it and editing it and like going over it.
Right, right.
Yeah, if there's no new idea, it's just funny to me. Like, what's the? Like,
No, that's what I'm saying. It's a good question.
Is there a Havamina Ropei Nefashos that are not?
So that I don't know if it's going too far to ask about the Havamina, but
Yeah.
like, you know, yeah, no, it's a good question what he means, but why he's saying it's a chachamim shehein Ropei Nefashos, right? That's a good question. But then that's where Isaac's question comes in, which is why don't you just say go to the Ropei Nefashos?
Obviously, the better ones are better. Yeah.
Right, right.
Well, it also sounds I mean, if you read Chacham as like where he's on the derech
Mhm.
it sounds like that's the ikr. Like go to the Chachamim shehein and they're also like Ropei Nefashos.
No, I would argue the other way. Shehein Ropei Nefashos is explaining why you should go to the chachamim, not the tafel.
Okay, I understand. So I mean, yeah, okay. It's possibly saying anyone who's a chacham would also give you good advice about what you.
That's possible that he's saying that.
Like
That anyone who's a chacham will be able to do this.
right. So just go to and like you don't have to find a guy who's practicing. So
Right.
Just go to.
Right. Go to the chachamim. Yeah.
Yeah, go to someone who's on there.
Right. Well, and chachamim could either mean the Hilchos Deios chachamim or the just what we mean by chachamim in general, like Hamida chachamim, people who you're chachamim, you know.
I'm just.
You like the question that I raised that it
Yeah.
has to that he defined chacham here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did he say that that's a chacham, or he just said that that's the
Didn't he call it a chacham?
kol adam shedeos of kulan deos mulinonos
Yeah.
chacham? But no, in other words, he's not saying that that's the definition of chacham. He's saying anyone who's
For sure.
yeah.
Chacham can definitely mean other things.
Right.
Yeah.
He's saying anyone whose deos are in the middle is called a chacham. Not the definition of chacham is someone whose deos are in the middle, right? He also did the derech chachamim. Yeah, that was the Saint Torah derech zohi derech chachamim.
Oh, so that is interesting that he's just going back to that in Dalit, that he's including just anyone who's in the derech yashar. Like you must have some kind of knowledge in this area.
Yeah,
Even just experientially, if you are in the derech yashar.
because that's how you got there.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
You have to understand what's going on. Yeah. More.
Yeah.
Oh, well, then they still understand naturally more about.
Sorry, because I am a music person, I find it very distracting. Like because it's like actually rhythm, but that's it's like if it was like senseless chaotic sound, then that'd be different. But like I listen to your drumming, but so it's sorry, it's a compliment. Yeah. Yeah. We haven't had a drummer in yeshiva for a while since Yoni Markowitz, I think.
The drummer.
A drummer.
I think my
Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah.
I always
He was a good
wanted-
drummer. Yeah,
I've always wanted to learn drums.
yeah. Good.
Cool.
But yeah. Yeah. Anyway, what were you? I didn't hear who was saying what.
You said you were saying something.
Yeah. It's saying something about-
Oh, you.
That you know stuff
the,
about Deios.
in order to,
If you're
meaning because you got there.
either because you somehow, or maybe just naturally you know about it. That doesn't really make sense.
If you're if you're a chacham in which sense?
Oh, in
In
the
the sense.
Deios sense.
In the Deo sense,
Then you have knowledge about Deios.
and then you have knowledge about Deos.
And
No, I
would
don't
say
know
that's
about that. Yeah,
necessarily true because it's naturally
you could naturally be that way. Yeah, yeah.
And
So
that
that-
might mean that you don't understand it because naturally that.
Right, right.
Doesn't that mean you have some kind of intuition?
No.
Okay.
No, in fact, there's an entire Mishle personality type, the Tom. The Tom in Mishle is the person who's naturally evenly keeled, naturally has good Deos.
And so he wouldn't really understand.
Yeah, and if you think, I'm sure you've met people like this. There are certain people who just like don't have extreme emotions pulling them in any direction, and they're just like, and like they didn't do that by working on it, and like they couldn't explain it, and they don't have, yeah.
Okay, so that's not what it means.
They're what?
They're very
Very mellow. Yeah, mellowness is a good quality unless it interferes with their ability to act when they need to. But they do tend to be more mellow. Like my image is like the just salt of the earth American farmer. Like like he's just like a reasonable fellow. Not clamoring after money, not getting angry at people. Just just
I think that's what we all want to be.
yeah.
Farmers?
American farmers.
American farmers, yeah. None of this, yeah.
salty.
No, European farmers.
No, I European farmers. European farmers is crazy.
Not enough space to roam.
So okay, wait. So then going back, so it doesn't make sense to say go to someone who's on the Derek Yashar to learn Torah.
Unless you're saying, like you originally said, that it's someone who's on the Derech HaYashar and they're a Rofei Nefesh. Yeah, right.
That's what it is.
So where are we?
We're not on the Derech HaYashar. That's the
We're on the
He's like a movie scene.
I know.
We're lost. We're near the Derek.
So say, what do we have? That's what I see.
a lot.
We have decision paralysis. That's what I have.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude.
No. I don't like that.
No, we have the yeah. Yeah. Going back to something that you were saying before, which I don't know if it was abandoned or not. You're making a point about Umusar Iyun Basu. So what was that point?
The point I was making
Yeah.
Is
Oh, the fact
We
that
say this is Mishle.
wait, yeah,
yeah, the fact that they hate Musser means that the Rofei Nefesh is forgiving them.
right,
Right, and then like it's not just like this thing.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, means that it's yeah. That was what I was thinking before, right?
Well, I guess that would mean that they.
What do we
What was what?
what do we on something like that?
Well, that's what you're asking. Are we stuck on something? And I'm just like a
Yeah, I guess.
Deer in the headlights.
Just the deduction from that point. Is
Yeah.
that the first people that you're going to have Musar that they can give it.
right, and based on that, then when he says Omrim lo lahan higatmo, it means they instruct him in how to do that in a derech mutter, right?
But not just saying these words.
Right. Yeah. And we also know that. See, maybe this is what was bothering me before. Like, I agree with everything you're saying about how the Rofei Nefashos can't let his own Deos issues interfere. I just don't think that the Rambam is saying that. Like, and I know you were inclined to say that he is saying that because he's using the word chacham. Why do you have to use the word chacham?
Yeah.
But I something about it. Like, I feel like that part's reading too much into it. I can't justify why.
I feel like
I think you think you don't forget it too.
You think what?
I think you think you don't agree with that.
That I don't agree with that fact?
No, you have to be often.
Well, yeah, I do think that as long as you can keep your Deios out of the treatment, then it's fine, you know?
Yeah.
Right, I guess the question.
That's not what
But that's not what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
I guess.
I think that I don't like.
I don't think that's why I don't like it.
I can
Yeah.
really though.
What was that?
Like, is it like really? I mean, yeah. Even if that's possible, I guess. Like, first of all, most people might not be able to do that, and even if you could, like.
No, I mean, I think,
they might not.
yeah, that's always a possibility. But I'm saying that like people do this all the time, you know. And again, like I said, I was not, you know, joking when I said before that really good therapists are in therapy, you know, like, you know, and also good professionals in any area. And I know it's slightly hard to hear in many ways, but like good professionals in any area will be able to like compartmentalize in terms of not letting their emotions interfere with their work. Like it's something that happens all the time, you know, like,
I mean,
you know, like,
it's definitely hard in this area.
it's definitely hard in this area, but, you know, but
I guess it's possible.
like, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, right, yeah. Yeah. All right, so I think the best thing to do is let the dust settle
And continue.
and then tomorrow continue. And
I think we need more information to make more.
I think we have resolved all of the major questions we set out with, except for that one, in terms of except for the chachamim shein rofei nefashos.
Did we decide? I'm realizing like what the day is.
No, that we didn't even touch today. I'm saying of the stuff we did today, right? Yeah, meaning the fruit of today is the fact that having an extreme dea is not the same thing as being fully nefesh. We still need to figure out what it means to love the bad deos, even though I think the theory from before is good. You know,
Right.
we know that the chachamim, we know what the difference is between the normal prescription of being manhig yourself in the middle path, as opposed to if you're sick, then you are knowing yourself on the extreme through the guidance of chachamim. We know why you need chachamim because you're not objective about it.
Right.
If you call the bad good and the good bad, right. We know that we still have the slight question about whether the mitzvah is to do actions and then getting your deos in line is just a means of being the best place to get actions, or whether the mitzvah is to get the deos. We still have contradictory implications there. But I think both of those are sufficiently true that we can go on without getting stuck. Like, I think we've addressed all the issues like that we need in order to be able to implement this, even if we don't fully understand the theoretics of everything.
Yeah. So doesn't.
Please agree. No, no, go ahead.
The rofei nefashos can't be a fully. Yes, if he thinks the bad is good and the good is bad, then he can't help you.
Let's say he's a really good psychologist,
yeah.
But like his parents were very poor, so he didn't like spending money. Like, I think he could do his job.
But he still has to know that spending money, that like, you know, not spending money is bad or whatever.
I don't think so. Because if he's working on you with your anger issues, you know, or like working on you with maybe if it's like the spending thing, then he can't do it. But like if he's telling you not to be gova lev, you know,
I see.
Like not all deos affect all other deos in this model.
Right. True.
And I bet they do, but this is not an ecological model. That's another important thing to realize.
That's true.
You know,
that's true. Well,
by ecological model, I mean that all the internal systems are working together and are interconnected.
Right. Well, unless if he doesn't think that being in the middle is good. Then he can't be, because but that's like saying that if you don't know what health is, then you can't be a doctor. As opposed to if you are smoking and you don't you can't get over the fact that like you're doing one unhealthy behavior, that then you can't be a doctor. Yeah, I think you could be a doctor and still smoke. Yeah.
You know, but if you don't know what health is, then you can't be a doctor.
Yeah, it's like it's like you're a scientist and you don't like believe in experimentation.
Right.
You can't be.
I actually have to go right now because I have tutoring. But yeah. All right. So I think we covered a lot today. That was good. Yeah.